And what you're doing is you're taking them on a journey that they can actually see the future, where it's actually brighter and better, and you're improving their asset, you're adding value. But one of the things that really irks me is when you talk to business people, they don't understand what margin is.
AI is a tool. If you know how to use it well, it's great. If you don't know how to use it well, I think it's quite detrimental.
Because there's an increasing demand for sub $20 million properties in that environment. My game from this point forward is actually to scale. So I've sorted out my own business. I've sorted out the strategy post-COVID. The worst client I have, and they were 180-day payers. That's 6 months. So I've owned a number of businesses. Some have been really successful and others have been monumental failures.
John, thank you so much for inviting me on your boat, your lovely boat.
Thank you, Will.
Amazing boat. What's your boat called?
Welcome. It's called Bentley Blue.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it's a boat I'm actually very proud of. It's beautiful because it's got a wonderful entertaining area. It's a Belize 52 and a half. So it's a big boat. Anything over 30, 36 feet is big. And this is a big boat. It's got two massive engines under there, two 800 Cummins that chew up petrol at a rate of knots.
Nice.
So if I had decided to go from Sydney Harbour up to Pittwater and back, it's about $1,500 just in fuel alone.
Oh,
so,
is that right?
Yeah, well, that's more than an airfare. So,
oh, yeah, Jesus.
So it tends to be rather expensive, but it's worth it. The entertainment value of having kids on board and family on board, friends on board, and even business and acquaintances on board. It's beautiful to share the experience with them.
Yeah.
But it's also something special. I mean, look at Sydney today. It's gorgeous. We've got the flag flying.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful sunny day. I know a storm's coming in later this afternoon, so we'll have to watch it. But here we are enjoying Sydney on a spring afternoon on a Tuesday.
That's amazing.
How good's that?
It's so good. It's so good. And I was just saying to the boys earlier, I think wealthy people, they like to own boats. Obviously, display of wealth. But I think B, it's about freedom. I mean,
it is about freedom.
I mean, just look around. There's not a soul in sight to disturb you. Like if you want to get away from people or just get away for a day, you just want to spend a day, chilling out, relaxing. You can't beat this.
No, you can't. It's unique. And I think, again, Sydney has a beautiful and unique harbour that we can take advantage of here. But this is also unique because you can get a business prospect onto a boat and you can actually have a real conversation with them.
Yeah.
You can look deep into their eyes. You can see what turns them on, whether it's the weather or boats or food or alcohol. And, you get to understand the person and you get behind and beyond all the garbage that, people present as face value and fake news, as Donald says.
Yeah, it's fake news and facade.
Yeah. But it's not all about wealth and money and power and presentation. This is a great family environment. Effectively, it's a caravan on the water.
Yeah.
So if you're a camper or a caravaner, it's great getting out here.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just scared to death of sharks.
You don't get many sharks up here, do you?
Well, we're at quarantine off Manly Beach, and you get quite a few coming around the corner, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay, all right. We'll keep an eye out on those.
And I don't think we'll see any.
No. Okay.
If we do, I want cameras rolling because I've never seen them.
Nice. And then, on that note about inviting guests and acquaintances on the boat, and you have real nice, deep, thorough conversations
and fun.
And if you don't like him, just throw him overboard.
Yeah, that's right. You can. Do you know, someone once told me that men are hopeless in what would you say, one-on-one interactions when you invite them to, say, a lunch. A business lunch is a very staid, traditional, starchy environment. But if you take someone to a football game where a man is or men are distracted, it gives them something to concentrate on rather than trying to build a relationship. The relationship comes naturally. And I think the boat does that as well. It gives you so many distractions to look at. It takes away any anxiety or pressures to talk or, it chills people out.
Yeah, 100%.
And you get to the relationship. I'll actually relate that to a really funny story that I experienced when I used to work for an ad agency before 2000. It was a world famous ad agency. And this sales guy, biz dev guy, used to do the most fantastic trickery in finding who he wanted to get to. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say McDonald's were one of their targets. He would find out when the head of McDonald's was flying to Melbourne, and he would book a seat literally next door to on the adjoining seat next to the CEO of McDonald's and fly down there, knowing he would have an hour to an hour and a half to talk to this guy. It was before mobile phones. It was so clever and so effective for him. And he did that all the time. And he did Sydney, Melbourne all the time.
Yeah, wow.
And he was just a sales animal, ferocious.
How does he find out? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Well, I suppose back then they were less guarded. The gatekeepers were there, you know, the EAs, PAs and secretaries. They were less guarded. I used to also admire, my first job out of school was with a company called Unilever. After studying marketing, I went and joined Unilever. And I remember the managing director used to have all the time in the world. Of course, he's making senior decisions and, you know, affecting the strategy of the entire organisation. But he'd actually ring up and say, "Can John Evans drive me?" This is when I was a junior. "Can John Evans drive me to the airport, or drive me home, drop the car and take another car and pick me up at the airport?" So I was junior, first job. But what I found was he would tell me things whilst in the car, and he'd say, "Oh, I got this incredible telex." Now, this is before fax, where that strip of paper would be printed out with dots on it.
Yes, I know.
And it'd come out coded, and
Yes.
they'd have to feed it into the receiving machine, and they'd get a message. And but he'd have a night or 2 days or a weekend to think about that response. And later on, because I did this for a while, I was there for 8 years, we progressed from the telex machine to a facsimile, to pages, to we used to put coins in local, you know, phone booths.
Phone booths, yes, I remember those.
And I went from marketing to trade marketing to sales, and so I was out on the road, and I used to have to phone in at the same time every day, at between 10 and 10:30, depending on where I was. And I'd have to get my sales information, any notes or things, and people would phone into the office and convey the messages. My golly. And then they migrated to pages, and that'd beep you saying ring someone. And now we have no time with mobile phones, none whatsoever. So corporates, you know, we're beholden to this piece of equipment that just tells us what to do. I know it's entertaining and sometimes fun, but it makes us respond faster than we've ever had time to think. I mean, look at AI now. I'm being bombarded by all these AI software consultancies that are saying, "We can handle all your emails and have them answered before you read them." And I'm going, I don't want that, because what happens if I don't want to say what it's going to recommend? And I know you can put filters on it, and you can read it and review it before you send it and edit it, all of that. But I actually like the process of crafting a good email, because I think it also shows respect for the person that's receiving it, and it shows education, how well you can speak, how well you can compose a communication piece. And, you know, that's really important these days. It's going to become less important as we do away with keyboards, and kids are going to use keyboards less, and they're going to concentrate on voice to text, voice to type, all of that. So that's interesting. I know I'm swaying off track, and the boat's rocking, and it's scaring these guys because their horizon's going like this.
It's actually
the camera
matching you guys, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we're with the boat, so
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't want that tripping over. You're okay.
What that was a ferry that went past us. It was that ferry, a really big one, and see the waves have now gone. It'll calm down again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a massive ripple effect.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
But go back to your point about, you know, having pages, having fax machines and emails and mobile phones and AIs and all that. Yes, I think the intention behind it is to make us more efficient as human beings, more efficient as company owners, more efficient, you know, communicators. But I actually find that we actually give up a lot of freedom for it. And what I mean by that, I don't mean, you know, surveillance and Big Brother freedom. But because we are reacting to a device that beeps every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we are now programmed to react to it.
Absolutely.
Rather than being conscious about it. And going back to the point of your old managing director when you're at Unilever, you had the advantage of you're thinking about a message for 2 days before responding. And that just goes to show that back then, I think human beings actually have more control of their life than what we actually have now.
I agree with that fully. I think we have been programmed to respond to the machine because we get our dopamine hits from, a machine that goes beep and it shows us something entertaining, or it shows us something pressing that needs a response immediately, or it shows an alert that we need to address someone that's in distress or a problem or a family issue that needs immediate attention. So it's great for that. But there is a dark side to it all, and it's the data collection. We never knew when we were going to buy these mobile phones that they'd be collecting information on our every purchase, on our every viewing of every image, of every scrolling through every catalog, where we stop out, how long we dwell on it, how many times we click on something. And that's used to,
Control us.
Control our
basically.
lives.
Influence us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that does worry me, and it worries me for the children of the future,
Yeah.
because what kind of world are we bringing them into?
Yeah. And you know what's really scary? So I think somebody asked AI once, if you were to develop a plan to control the human race, how would you do it? And the AI's response is so scary. It basically said, we would do it without you knowing it.
Yeah, where you become subservient to it without knowledge.
Without knowledge.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
And I actually think that's what's happening right now.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah.
We are mindlessly handing over our personal contacts, our love lives, our trade secrets. I mean, when you upload your company information into AI, it takes everything. It's gone.
It's got everything. But I think what's more disturbing for me is it's also taking away a lot of our decision-making process, our cognitive skills. Because
it's got to be diluting them at least, hasn't it? At a minimum.
At a minimum. I mean, I'm guilty of this. Like, I'm going to ChatGPT and I go, how should I answer this email in a polite way?
I've still never done that for emails.
Okay.
I do it for advertising copy, for LinkedIn posts, just to make sure it's polished, and add hashtags and what are the latest themes, those kind of things. I think that's all just smart. It's it's not even smart. It's a no-brainer, but it's trying to work with the system rather than against it. So I use it. I use it every day.
Look, I think AI is a tool.
Yeah.
Just like everything that's been invented is a tool. The internet's a tool. Fax machines were tools, and AI is a tool. And I think with every tool, there's always, if you know how to use it well, it's great. If you don't know how to use it well, I think it's quite detrimental, particularly to human behavior. But I think the jury's still out. What AI is going to do, I think it's going to replace a lot of jobs, but it might also create a lot of jobs.
Which way do you think is going to benefit the most? Is it going to create more jobs, or is it going to devastate more jobs?
My personal view is we're going to create a two-tier society because of AI.
We've already done it, haven't we?
Yeah, but I think the gap's going to be a lot more obvious. So I think the poor is going to get poorer, the less educated are going to get less educated. And I think even though I don't like the idea of universal basic income, I think it's going to soon become a necessity, because you're going to have vast majority of the population that's unemployable because they haven't got the skills to make high level decisions. Because if everything can be outsourced, or data reviews or analysis and all that could also all be outsourced to AI. We don't need secretaries. We don't need call centers. A lot of those basic administrative jobs are just gone to AI. So what's really left for human beings is the decision-making process, relationships, and maybe some degree of creativity. And I can't see the mass majority having the ability to be competitive enough, to sustain that. So I think vast majority is going to be people that just have to live on a basic.
That's a wonderful and insightful concept, Will, that you just said, a mass universal base income. That frightens me. And it's communistic in its approach, but it may be necessary. For a country like Australia, what do we have? 80% urbanisation? anyone in an urban environment that isn't entrepreneurial and earning enough money to stay above that base wage is going to be affected by that. But if you're in the regions, and let's just say you're a farmer and a family and you're producing food,
Yeah.
whether it be beasts of burden, that do the work and we eat them, or farming vegetables and fruits and things, and there's a degree of sustainability there, they may be okay. But for everyone else, what have we created in terms of a potential end for ourselves?
Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for that little tidbit. I've never thought of the mass universal
Well,
base wage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that was introduced a few years ago by I can't remember who it is, probably someone in the UN thought about
I'm sure
it.
Mao Zedong probably had a concept around that too, didn't he?
Well, I mean, surely he did. So he normalized income, so everybody got paid the same.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly different to basic universal income, universal basic income, whereas that's a minimum wage. Mao Zedong basically said, look, everyone gets paid the same. You're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, basically get paid, exactly the same. But that didn't last. It lasted, 50 years, maybe. And in capitalism,
Entrepreneurs would hate that. Mavericks would hate that.
Yeah.
Anyone that thinks outside the box would hate that because it's control.
It is. It is.
And there's no reward for any benefit, any extra effort. None.
No.
So you're working to the lowest common denominator rather than the highest common denominator.
Yeah.
So capitalism's out the door.
Yeah, 100%.
Sadly, for some, I'm a capitalist.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, clearly. Clearly.
Yeah, but I think you have to be, don't you?
Well, I think just going talk about China, right? I think my whole family is anti-communism. Both of my grandfathers fought against the communists during the Civil War. So both my grandfathers were in the militaries. So they're all generals at the time. So our family fled from the Communist Party. One side went to Taiwan, the other side went to Macau and Hong Kong.
Wow.
So we hate the communists because of our history, but then retrospective looking back, I think it was a necessary evil at the time.
Yes.
Because China basically just got screwed over by the British 100 years before that, and then just got screwed by the Japanese during the Second World War, and there just wasn't enough wealth left in China to sustain almost 1 billion people. So communism was a necessary evil for China to survive. So communism was active for 50 years in China, and then ultimately a different version of capitalism, communist capitalism, emerged. Has evolved. So I think ultimately, once every nation gets past that initial stage of poverty, capitalism starts to take over, because like you said, those mavericks, those entrepreneurs, they can't sit idle. They can't just do nothing. They have to innovate. And guys like Jack Ma, even though now he's sort of silenced a little bit, but he was
a little bit. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, he's basically disappeared.
Yeah.
But like here's a great example of a pioneer in China. So look, I think, are we going to go back to that? I don't know, but if I look at the Western countries at the moment, a lot of it is being controlled by the left, unfortunately.
I agree, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It's really sad, and extreme left too, to that extent.
I had an influencer in my life who was a father-in-law, and he, as all fathers-in-law are influencers, but he was very interesting. He said, he voted Liberal all his life, but he said it's good for Australia to have Liberal, Labor, Liberal, Labor, Liberal, Labor, Nationals, whoever, and a sprinkle of others, because it sets the trajectory on the right path, but it's answering all the demands of all the minorities as you go. It looks after defence one year, it looks after housing the next, it looks after teachers and plumbers and whatever one year, and it looks after, pilots and whatever the next. And it tries to cover as much as they possibly can with the budgets they've got at hand across a broad spectrum, but it's always in that one trajectory. And I just don't think we've got that when our country is run by Labor and they're run by unions. They're controlled by unions.
Yeah.
And the unions want to do very little. And they want 4-day weeks.
Yeah.
And they want no productivity.
They're the loudest and the least productive.
Yeah, and it's worrying. And COVID has changed the world in its behaviour, work from home environment, flexible work environments. I think 2025 is a really interesting year for Australians, and I think it's almost a reset year. We had we mirrored the economy almost. We at CommProp Group had a terrible January to June. We underperformed. I'm not suggesting, actually, I've just said Australia underperformed, and I shouldn't, because Australia's done very well in the scheme of things. But we had a real come to Jesus moment on December 31, and I had to change the philosophy of the business and the direction.
Yeah.
And for the first 6 months, it was quite challenging. And I think the reset happened in about July of the new financial year. And Trump had gone through his mischievous phase of being elected and doing the 100 days of signing radical, decisions. We'd faced some crazy interest rate decisions, but Australia all of a sudden got this burst from July 1 with brand new financial enthusiasm, and the trust funds and super funds all started investing and reinvesting again. And I think property and commercial property has really benefited from that. And as a result, CommProp Group, Commercial Property Group, has benefited from that.
So what does CommProp Group do?
It does three things. It does advisory services. So we're within the commercial property industry, within Australia only. And we give clients advice on everything from town planning, architecture, design, legal, through to quantity surveying and project management. So all the professional services you'd require to facilitate the purchase, leasing, or upgrade of a commercial property, or a portfolio of properties, which is where most of my clients sit. So that's our advisory piece. Underneath that is a building and construction arm. And fortunately, we started after COVID, so it became more repairs and maintenance, because people didn't have the budgets all the time to actually do new builds. So the money seemed to be all in repairs and maintenance. And that's where we structured this division to actually go. And that sits under our hard serve or technical building trades division. And then to complement all of that, we've got another division called soft serve. And soft services is the generic name in the industry for cleaning, waste, security, concierge, all those heavy labor environments. But once again, I don't have staff in either of those two divisions. Excuse me, we have contracted companies that provide those staff. But it's all tied back through insurance, it's all tied back through taxation, and the ultimate responsible person is me. I'm the one that takes the risk, I'm the one that takes the burden, I'm the one that has to guarantee people's safety and insure against it. And I have to ensure that all the safe work method statements that go out protect employees and workers, and the toolbox talks and the training and supervision that goes on is actually undertaken, because I've made those commitments to my clients. And I've got some really large multi-billion-dollar clients in the commercial property space, like the Harvey Normans, like the JLLs, like the CBREs, like the Knight Franks, that have very large portfolios of thousands and thousands of properties, and they need that reliance, the contractor management services and systems. And I suppose I'm the project manager that takes the financial risk and puts all of that together. And it's gutsy and it's terrifying and it keeps me awake at night, but it's really satisfying. And I know I'm leaving the world in a better place. I really do. So my game from this point forward is actually to scale. So I've sorted out my own business. I've sorted out the strategy post-COVID. I know our strengths. I know our weaknesses. I know where our brands need to operate and who they want to target. It's about going out and getting that business, making the right representations to clients, being honest, trustworthy, and following through on your word. I'm not tolerant of people that try to pull the wool over your eyes or are dishonest, or I just don't suffer fools. In the past I have, and I've been burnt by that. My beautiful mother, who passed away 2 years ago, said to me, I remember talking about this business with her, and I said, oh, I've got a new client and I just feel that I'm so naive. And she just stopped me there and she said, John, you're not naive. She goes, you would have done due diligence, you would have prospected them correctly. She was using all these terms, right? I'm going, Mum was super intelligent, I loved it. And I'm going, yeah, I did all of that. She goes, that's not naivety, that's trust. I went, wow. And it was really, it was a visceral moment for me because it identified both my strength in trusting people and my weakness that I've been trusting people. And I've been trusting the wrong people sometimes. And I need to continue doing the due diligence and don't be naive. But, you know, I'm very trusting. I'm gregarious. I relate with people very easily. But I think sometimes they take advantage of me, or they at least try to. And now that I'm aware of it and got that insight, it happens less. And I think I'm prospering more as a result of that. So it's a little bit of insight.
So can I talk about that? So I think trust is the only method of trade between customers and businesses and clients and everything.
Yeah.
If there's no trust, there's no business, there's no nothing exchange, there's no services, there's no nothing. Yes,
And I trust you, Will.
I trust you too, John.
Yeah.
I trust that you weren't trying to throw me off the boat.
Don't be naive, Will.
I don't do my due diligence.
Yeah.
But to that point, I know lawyers play a role because they want to document everything just in
Yeah.
case shit happens. You know,
Yeah.
you got some document to refer to. But as an entrepreneur now, assuming trust is still one of the most important attributes in business, how do you now analyze somebody and decide whether they are trustworthy and that you want to get into business with?
That's a terrific question, because analyzing and evaluating trust is a really hard thing to do. I read something the other day, and it was literally in the last week, and it was talking about response to your communication. And they were saying if you do an email communication to a prospect and you know the email has got to their server, you know it's sitting in their inbox, you know they've read it from, you know, mechanical responses. And if that sits there unread or ignored for 3 days, a week, 2 months, there's no trust there whatsoever. They just don't value you and they're prioritizing you very lowly. But if they give you an immediacy, there's an immediate sense of trust. And if you keep that up, and it's not all about speed and trying to be the fastest person back, but it's giving an honest answer as fast as you can, because they're after a service and they want it answered. And I'm a service provider, so I never dilly-daddle in a response. A phone call is never, ever, ever let go. An email to me is never let go. I even I troll through the spam and the stuff I don't want to look at. I troll through it in case I miss something. I am a bit of a prospecting machine. So I do, when I focus on things, I do hundreds of those things, sometimes thousands of them to get the result. And I know my results, and you know, I'm under a 10% success rate. That's terrible in my books. You know, I think that's terrible. So for every $100 I'm pitching, do the maths, it's not a big return, because I'm trying to eke out a profit out of that last $10, you know?
Well, it's better than most, let's just say.
Well, it's getting better.
Yeah.
This year is going to be a year of scale for me, and it's happening really quickly. It went from, $250,000 to $500,000 to many million to now, you know, tens of millions.
Yeah.
Because we sit in a business community together.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting, and it's very fulfilling.
Can I ask what's changed in your business? Because you went from, let's say, almost zero to $70 million in your pipeline now.
Yeah.
In a matter of 6 months.
Yeah.
How? Like, what changed in your approach?
I think it was vulnerability, Will. I was really lost. I've owned a number of businesses, and some have been really successful and others have been monumental failures. And I've invested in other people's businesses and they've all been failures. And I've been involved in lots of startups and most of them have been failures. But each one of those has given me an experience to show me that I should keep on going, keep on learning, and persist. And persistence is such a wonderful quality. as I said, the first 3 years, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was trusting in the partners in the clients that I had. But what I found is I just wasn't hitting the mark. And
What does that mean? Hitting the
I
mark?
just wasn't delivering what the market wanted. And I didn't know that. And so I came cap in hand to Coraggio. And I disclosed everything to that team. I think it was probably a month before you arrived.
Probably,
And
yeah.
I gave all my mathematics, all of my plans, and they just said, John, you're heading in the right direction, but your pipeline is empty. And it wasn't empty, but I had a critical change in January. I thought I was clever. I went and had a holiday in January, thinking all builders take holidays in January. Now's a smart time to go. I came back to Sydney the last week of Jan. That was this year. And I found my pipeline had disintegrated. And the reason is I had 8 key clients and 6 of those key clients resigned. 2 of them left the industry altogether. So all the works in pipeline that I had planned for the rest of the year, which looked glorious, it was going to send me onto a $5 million business for the year. And that looked fantastic. As a single employee, that looked great. But all of those projects dried up. All of them were given to someone else. Some of them were cancelled, deleted, changed in briefing, and I just missed out on all of them. I had some time to myself. I thought, what am I doing? So I started redesigning logos, and I just went back to a happy place and thinking about strategy and how am I going to deliver it. But then part of it was also a bit of realization I needed help. And I looked at all the businesses I've worked in the past and I went, I've been the only one. I'm relying on myself too much. I need some exposure to other influencers, some other business founders. And I thought about the executive connection. I thought about, and this isn't an ad for Coraggio, and I thought about young YPO, and I thought about and the Hub. And there are lots of businesses out there that offer individuals support, encouragement, advisory, assistance. But this one group at Coraggio I really liked, and I resonated with it, and it resonated with me. It was designed for founders and those with skin in the game. That was the difference. Anyone can be a CEO, anyone can be a CMO or a CIO, and they all get paid a salary. And so the only risk they have every month is their salary. They're risking, am I losing $10,000 this month if I make a bad decision and get sacked? Man, oh man, we as founders and owners of the business, we put our houses on the line. We put our future incomes on the line. We put everything on the line. We take debt to scale up. We pay deposits in the hope that they'll do the job properly and we'll get paid for that at the end. A large part of my growth has been putting deposits in projects that I've got because I have to. When I engage builders, they want 30 to 50% up front. And if I don't have that in cash, that project's not going ahead. So it's a gutsy call, and Coraggio was just that sounding board. All I needed was a bit of trust, a bit of vulnerability, and it was someone to say, I've got your back. And there are a number of people within that group that went, you're doing the right thing. We've got your back. Come back every month and tell us how you're going in progress. And I went, right, I'm going to treat them like they're my boss. And I responded to that very positively.
So some accountability.
And it was about accountability.
Yeah.
And I'm still accountable. I work 18 hours a day. And for most people, that sounds revolting. But I literally go to the office every day and I do 18 hours a day. And that's business days. On Saturday and Sunday, I still work. I still take calls. I still respond to emails. So I blur the lines, but I do it I'm investing in my future.
So let me ask you this. You're the only employee in the business, and that's why you're working 18-hour days. And
yeah.
So
I don't need to, but I do because I actually love it.
Right. Well, okay. I think that's what I was getting to, right? Because there's a fine line between work and play.
Yeah.
I think, and I think you've kind of shocked the balance between sort of work and play because you say you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really important. But my question though is do you think that's sustainable in the long run?
No. That was the other thing Coraggio brought out.
Yeah.
John, you've reached the $5 million mark.
Yeah.
You've reached your capacity. You can't really grow more than that, we've noticed, in businesses unless you put on other staff. And it can't be other consultants or contractors. It has to be staff. And I went, that's really interesting. So I kind of challenged that and,
Okay.
taking it 65, 70, 75 beyond. If I add up some of the proposals that I've done that clients are saying, yes, so we're going to run with, it's well beyond that. But
Okay, so you're at like 100 million.
I'm not going to say, but it's very attractive. It's really attractive.
So that's a nine-figure business.
I
Is
plan
it a
for it
nine-figure
to-
business?
I plan for it to actually happen because I don't create an environment of doubt. I created an environment of confidence. I think in the past I was doubtful in myself, but I'm not doubtful anymore. I'm supremely confident.
So what you're saying is, what changed in the last 6 months was your mindset mentality rather than your strategy, or a bit of both?
Bit of both. Don't get me wrong. I didn't come into this business with a great big pond of cash and, a massive super balance and gratuities from my parents. I came into this business with bugger all cash. I actually asked my mother for $30,000. She said, how much is it going to cost to start you the business? And she goes, I want to fund it for you. So my mum gave me the first $30,000 to start this business 4 years ago. And that effectively paid for some rent and the ASIC filing fees and appointing a tax agent, and away we went. And the rest was up to me to deliver. So when your back's against the wall and you've only got one direction, you have to deliver, because the other side of the ledger isn't very pretty. It's you may as well close up and, jump off a cliff. But I love my family and my life too much. And I was, positively engaged in enjoying life. This year has changed a bit because I'm enjoying life more. But I think it's also the realization that business is working and I can enjoy myself. I can literally sit on the boat and work. I can literally answer emails from the boat. So it's a blend of pleasure and work. And that's the balance. It's hard to do in an office.
Yeah.
I watch my daughters do that. One's a nurse it's just focus, 100% focus the whole time. And the other one's in tech finance. And she has this interesting work environment where she goes to the office as well as works from home. And that's the modern day environment. And that's going to get more. And that bringing that back to commercial property and real estate, that's the challenge for this economy. And e-commerce is driving that. It's driving the demand. Buildings need to be more ESG friendly and green. There are the premium, high-end, sustainable buildings have a massive demand. There's an enormous demand for them out there at the moment. Whether they're commercial, logistical, industrial, or whatever, the demand is super strong.
Yeah.
In retail, the demand is in neighbourhood shopping centres and experiential centres.
What does that mean?
That's environments, whether it's a high street market or a small neighbourhood centre, that have worked out, let's blend the retail experience with a greener environment. Let's have places to stop and meet. Let's have places for trees, pets, animals, greens. They've got, greenery, walls of green. They've got, of course, all their ESG and environmental sustainability covered. They've got solar power. They've got water tanks. They've got, all the smarts going on. And there's an increasing demand from general public to actually visit those places.
Can I ask you then, let's talk about more specifics, and I want to talk about the technical side of things. So You've identified a trend, and I agree with that trend. I think everything's getting smarter, greener, and we're moving away from the traditional,
Yeah, we are.
four walls and a roof kind of environment.
You know what? I still think we've got the four walls and a roof. And I think we still need that, but flexibility and sustainability are two keys that need to be added to it.
Right. So sustainability, flexibility.
Yeah.
From what you've seen and the trends that you've identified.
Sorry, I love helicopters.
Yeah, I was
I hear them and I smile.
I think you need to get a big enough boat to land one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flown a helicopter a few times. Lovely.
Nice.
I seriously do hear helicopters and it makes me smile. I look at planes, they make me smile. I'm an aviation nerd that never flies, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I think your next thing is get a hangar and a plane.
Well, that's been a dream. Let's see if it happens. Anyway, back to
Well,
sustainability
with a nine-figure business, I think
and
you get there.
flexibility.
And flexibility, sustainability, and flexibility. I deal in a lot of industrial properties.
Yep.
And all across Australia, and they're very basic. By and large, pretty basic. 4 walls and a roof and a roller shutter door. That's pretty much.
But that's great.
That's great.
Because there's an increasing demand for sub $20 million properties in that environment. All this new generation coming through that either have their great-grandparents and grandparents' money being filtered down, or the baby boomers are retiring going, we'll put you into a house, or we've got some super for you, or we're going to assist you with an investment. It's no longer investing in just residential houses. I think the younger generations, of which you sit below me, you guys are far more savvy. You've got far more on offer. You've got these beautiful high-end developments, but you've also got innovation within the sub $20 million range, and it's fascinating.
And that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So what are the opportunities that you see in these properties that offer sustainability and flexibility, and how are developers now factoring that cost into developments
Well, that's interesting.
and make it economically sustainable for those developments?
I don't think they're doing it well enough or fast enough. That's the first critical problem.
Okay.
And the reason is there's lots of rundown, dated, tired, logistic and industrial and commercial properties out there. And there are whole industrial suburbs that have these, garages with a mezzanine in there. And quite frankly, they're tired and they're not relevant, are they? They're no longer relevant. What kind of business do you put into them? Because Australia's manufacturing and fabrication businesses have changed to answer to, the influx of delivery and on-demand deliveries and retailing and the needs for that. But there are lots of home businesses that need that kind of environment, but they're not going to move in there unless it's beautiful. These kids, the next generation, I grew up in I'm changing my story a bit here to accommodate, but I grew up in a Californian, bungalow house on the North Shore in Sydney. And whether you're in a Californian bungalow that look really silly these days, or whether you're in a fibro shack on stilts, which, most Australians live in, it's changed, or we grew up in, it's changed now. The kids of today have grown up in these beautiful, monstrous, Americanized, McDonald's style, replicable model of housing that have everything. They've got every white good, every facility, every electronic, everything that is known to man within these home environments. They never have to leave home, whether it's a unit or whether it's a home. And all I'm saying is they're so used to quality and high end, that's what they're demanding. And there's a demand for that with the new generations coming through. They don't want these tired, outdated, commercial, logistical and industrial properties. They want them developed. So there's an opportunity out there to find distressed product, improve it rapidly, but improve it and make it flexible, make it pristine and A grade, and make it sustainable. And they're the 3 key messages for me. To greenify your building or green a building is really intelligent. Collect the rainwater, do something with the wastewater in detention and make it work for you with the grey waters. Tick all the boxes on neighbours, ratings. See if you can get your building rated accordingly, as many green stars as possible. Make it attractive to the commercial investor.
Yeah.
But that's all at the sub 20 million mark.
But my question is, I know the demand and the technology is there.
Yeah.
But is the economics there to develop something like that and make a profit?
Oh, actually, yes, because capital is increasingly becoming available from really October the 1st. The markets are opening up more. But what we're seeing more is privatized capital. So there are lots of, again, the next generation and also baby boomers who are going, I've had a self-managed super fund. I also have an investment company where I'm providing cash into a capital fund. And that's a group of people that have got together and cohorted their money and they're looking for great investments. They're all looking for the same thing. They're looking to improve properties, make them more green, and there's lots of opportunity. There's money out there. I know if I'm looking for money, it's actually available. There's lots of money being thrown at me to scale up and to invest in things,
So if the money
which I haven't taken up yet.
right, so that's a separate conversation we need to have. Because I'm going to introduce you to a few things. But okay, so if the money's out there and the desire's out there, demand and the technology's out there, why aren't we seeing more? Because my thesis on it is the profitability right now isn't as attractive yet
Yeah.
compared to just building a boring old box.
I think people are terrified with the economy at the moment. I think they're genuinely suspicious of the US. They're genuinely suspicious of the tariffs that Trump has put on, the problems at home with interest rates. I think rarely have we ever thought about global economics so thoroughly.
So what's your view for 2026?
Well, that's a great question, Will. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think we're going to see very little growth.
Uh-huh.
I think we're going to see a lot more stability. I think we're still going to see a lot of people go under, sadly, because they've just been holding out since COVID and they've just been chewing up their money and their savings. But that's okay. Churn's okay, because on a whole, the industry needs that, and we evolve and innovate and develop as a result of that. Where are interest rates? I don't think they're going to do much. I don't think they're going to go down again throughout 2026 at all. I think they'll either stay the same or possibly rise at the later end. I don't know. I'm no economist. I listened to Matt Common from CommBank the other day, and I was interested to hear him say his piece on interest rates. He can't see a reduction in interest rates whatsoever. The economy, I'm worried about war. Trump believes he's going to solve the Ukraine-Russia conflict at the moment, and it's looking closer with their 26 or 48 point plan, depending on who you're listening to, Mr. Rubio or whoever. I think China's expansion into the South Pacific is going to start terrifying Australia even more, because they're very aggressive in their tactics, and they're intentionally conflictionary with their flyovers with aeroplanes and ships, and they're just trying to intimidate. They're trying to stamp some authority. They're testing us.
Uh-huh.
I think that's interesting. I'm also a bit of a nerd. I'd love us to finally work out there's some kind of extraterrestrial. I'd love that to happen. And go, wow, this is why we've been investing in all these new technologies for defense. And this is really why America has been encouraging other countries to spend more on defense, because what's coming is really creepy and scary. But that's just a sidekick, humorous side of me. I'd love us to have some extraterrestrial influence.
Maybe they're already here.
Who knows?
Who knows,
if you listen
right?
to some of those wacky television shows, I'll say yes. I'm a great fan of Professor Brian Cox from the UK.
I love him. I love him.
He's so intelligent,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
wise, and I love listening to him. And he doesn't believe there's anything here. And if there was, it'd be gloop. That's the state of the matter of the existence of life form outside of humanity. But it's such a vast environment beyond our little shores, our little blue planet, isn't it?
Well, I think statistically, alien life form beyond Earth is quite high, statistically.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd hate to think that we were that arrogant to just think we're the only ones here.
I think it's impossible. Statistically, it's impossible
Yeah.
for not have any other life forms.
I'd like to meet them,
Yeah.
as long as they don't come here and eat us.
Well, depending which theory you want to go to, but we won't go there maybe today.
Not today.
Not today, but I think that's a topic for another conversation. I want to ask you about tips on property management.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I know why you want to ask me that.
Well, because we
You have a vested interest in that direction.
I have a vested interest in that direction, 100%. And obviously, you do a lot of repairs and maintenance, for a lot of your clients, and you overlook a lot of the soft services as well and
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What are the most common mistakes commercial property owners make in terms of like property management and maintenance?
Can I flip that and say
Okay.
the most common mistake on service providers to that industry within that area
Okay.
is, whether it be repairs, maintenance, or soft services, is the expectation you're going to create money or profit out of one visit. Doesn't happen. So if you were to have Defence Housing or House and Land, as a client, and you've got really big contracts and lots of volume, the problem with the model is, let's just say Betty, who lives in Sydney, her washing machine breaks down and it's a serviced environment and she needs someone. So she calls us up and she calls CommProp Group. We go, great, we can send someone out tomorrow. The problem is you've got to send someone out that's a cost, and all the tolls, all the parking, and all the time. But you've already administratively handled all that, so that's another cost. When they get there, they assess the problem, but it actually isn't the washing machine or the dishwasher or whatever Betty's real problem was. It's an electrical circuit problem. It's a wiring problem. It goes back to the RCD in the box. There's a greater problem there. That either falls into a delay and a default system where it just takes forever for poor Betty to get a washing machine fixed. It's a bigger issue, so it has to step through more hurdles. But that consumes time, and time is money. And then eventually you go, right, we've won the job, let's go out there and fix Betty's thing, but it actually wasn't problematic, so we don't need to fix it. We need to fix the RCD, but the wiring is old, canvas-bound wires, and that's the greater problem, because it's a 1920s building. You eventually get authority to do that, you get out there and there are more problems. So one visit always turns into two visits always turns into three, and you've only got the budget for one. So it becomes incredibly unprofitable immediately. If you could go out there and if you had a single problem and we could go out there, solve it and come back, the world would be a beautiful place. But what invariably happens, whether it be a builder, whether it be a tradesman, whether it be a soft services supplier, you go there, you do a quote. Time is then spent on assessing the quote. You then go out to fix the problem. The customer's never really satisfied. They're 90% satisfied. So you have to go back and fix it that little bit. And it's the going back those 3 times. Everyone builds in the quote and then doing the job into their costs. They never build in that third one.
Interesting.
And if you remember, you make 33% on costs, 33% profit, and 33% for the tax man. So if you work on that multiple, if you go back that 33%, you've just taken your profit out. So you've just wiped your profit from the job. And that's in simple terms, but that's actually what happens on scale. And I was only talking to a really important man who's left CBRE, and he was saying he invested in a big FM business and they had to close shop because they're unprofitable. And I asked him those very questions. Were your team going back 2 and 3 times? He said, yeah. And we all invested personally, and we thought we were going to run this really profitable business with great government contracts and private contracts with multi-site portfolios, and all we did was lose money.
So these FM divisions within CBRE and JLL and whatever, are they cost centers or
They are cost centers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cost centers.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's more like it's more like you can't have an FM business on its own. It has to be bolt on to something else.
Absolutely. And I'm sure they're margin mixing. They're not just making all their money from advisory or leasing or sale and then adding property management and FM to it. They're blending all of those margins at the top.
Right.
Because there are some loss leaders, and FM sometimes is just a massive loss leader. Because you've got to supply it to keep the buildings. To keep the building in safe, compliant condition so the tenants stay. And the whole thing's reliant upon really simple fundamentals of compliance and safety, which is good.
Yeah.
And then you've got your quality of life on top, and then you've got your ESG on top of that, and then you've got your premium on top of that. But that's where the margin is. The higher you go up that scale, there's more profitability for you.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Tong, yeah.
If I bought
Yes.
a $10 million warehouse.
Yep.
And it's an absolute mess.
Yep.
Asbestos roof.
Oh.
Okay. Mezzanine's not certified.
Yep. No retention tanks.
No retention tanks. Retaining walls,
Dodgy bathroom
collapsing,
downstairs.
Dodgy bathroom because termites eating the office space.
Yep.
What do you reckon is the best way, most cost-effective way to add value to that property? What are some of the things that you would do?
Oh, the most cost effective is if you're a tradesman and you can do it yourself. But given that 99% of people aren't that, you really do have to get a professional in to assist with it. because there's a benefit at the end, and the benefit is upside margin and return back to yourself. Okay, for obvious reasons, whether it's going to be from rent immediately or whether it's going to be an uplift in the resale value. Both are important and both are required. The sad thing is you need to spend money. And the problem is, for you as the owner, you need to spend money to improve it. The benefit for me is I'm going to be the person that's going to be improving it. So that's why I've got a business. And there are lots of situations like this.
To sell a shovel.
Yeah, even if it's just that's right. Even if it's just a shell, it still needs work. It no longer needs to be just presentable. It needs to be so much more. You need to embrace sustainability if you're going to win in this market. It needs to tickle the neighbours' boxes. It needs to have more accessibility. It's not just a set of stairs. It might even be an internal lift to get up there if you've got an office environment. Depends on how many people. But if you're talking 20 million, it probably is a big environment with a big office that accommodates 10 people. You might need lifts rather than stairs for accessibility.
But that's going to be cost prohibitive.
Not really.
Why not?
Because if you look up lifts, even go on Instagram and do a search for lifts, actually I've done that and you get flooded with 1,000 lift suppliers in Australia. There's a whole bunch of individual lifts. It doesn't have to be a big, Schindler or Otis or those guys. It could actually be a single person lift.
Hydraulic lift.
No, I'm not talking about a work lift platform,
Right,
the
okay.
hydraulic. I'm talking about a people lift.
Okay.
For accessibility that
Okay.
fits a wheelchair, that gets people up and down.
Okay.
And that meets with standard. And it is like a residential lift and it's designed for the aging population. But that makes a significant difference because you're giving people an opportunity, the accessibility. You do have to greenify your building. You do have to treat rainwater and stormwater correctly. Stormwater, oh my God, what's going on with stormwater stormwater reports for councils, for commercial and residential buildings at the moment. Council DAs and everything are being held up with stormwater reports. You need to get a professional in to say, because the council don't want to do the work themselves. They want you to engage someone that goes and measures exactly where the stormwater is, because they've got antiquated 1924 maps that said, yeah, we think it went through the property here, but in actual fact, it goes this way, and it's 3 meters down when it was meant to be 2 meters down, and its pipe, diameter is 100 when it's actually saying it's something different. So what we're doing is, on behalf of the councils, we're doing all these audits, but they're really important, and you're not going to get DAs signed unless you do those kind of reports. So you need some help with town planning. You need some help with certification. You need some help with basic lift and presentation. You do need to put solar on the roof. You do need to have parking. Parking's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Everyone needs parking. People have become lazy and reliant upon their cars. So the immediate value add, even if you could quadrant off or segregate off some space to make it parking, even at the expense of greening your building, that's a priority for people.
Okay.
People need accessibility, and the lift is always an added benefit.
So parking, solar panels, stormwater.
Yep, windows in the building. How many commercial buildings, if you're looking at local industrial parks that have the classic garage with a mezzanine level on top, there are no windows put into those prefab concrete walls.
Yeah, a bit hard,
so there's
hard
no
to
light.
get, though.
Hard to get, but can you think of sunlight
hard to
and
make.
not really? I think it.
Could you get sunlight through the roof?
Absolutely. Or put in, clear tiles or substrate that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Just create more light, lighter and brighter.
Yeah.
Less reliance on artificial light and more on natural sunlight. What else can you do? One of the things that really irks me is when you talk to business people, they don't understand what margin is. Do you know what margin is? How to measure margin in your business?
Yeah.
Versus tradies all love markup.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, I've got this product for $100, and as long as I mark it up 30 or 40% to take it to $130 or $140, I'll be safe. But you ask them what the margin is, and they've got no idea. They think 30% on 130 is 30%. It's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 30% on $130 is 25% margin. So all of a sudden they think they're making 30. No, they're marking it up by 30, but they're actually only making a 25% margin because you're looking at the end cost, the selling cost that you're putting your profit against. And it's where you measure your profit. If you're taking it from the base, then it's markup. If you're taking it from your sale price, it's margin. And they're the differences. It's the same number in terms of cash contribution, but it's whether it's a markup percentage or a margin percentage. And I hear a lot of people, particularly in retail, and they should know margin, talking markups. And markups aren't necessarily the right thing to talk, it's margin. But that's just something that irks me. And that's my early training. I learned that at Unilever, 40,000 years ago. But it's such an imperative thing to know. Where were we? Simple wins for buildings. What else is there? Make it look more premium. Whatever you can do, put a reception in.
Make it look more premium. I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Make it look more premium. Again, you're spending money, but it's not expensive to make something look premium. Paint the friggin' thing. Don't leave it as concrete. Paint it. Give it some vibrance. Give it some color.
Yeah.
Put a brand on it.
Yeah. You know what I really like? If you drive up and down Alexandra,
Yep.
you see all these warehouse conversions.
Yep.
Right. A lot of them are turned into like creative offices or just smart warehouses, right? Or
And
bit of
there's a
showroom.
demand for that.
And there's demand for that.
Yeah.
One of the buildings that I really liked that I had a privilege of working on is 13 Bowden Street. Historically, that's where Schlesinger had the factory.
I know where you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I know
so
exactly what you're
they
talking
made
about.
the rackets and tennis balls and all that.
Yeah.
So the developer who bought it, he obviously changed it into a creative office space. But he paid an artist, and because there was a dividing wall against the other building, he paid an artist to paint a mural,
Oh, wow.
massive mural
Wow.
on the side of the building. And it's basically tennis balls and tennis rackets and all that type of stuff in a really cool, funky, artistic
I
way.
love that.
That's amazing. Such a standout.
That's beautiful. That's integrating creativity with your work process. We've actually done something like that. That was a nice segue. I don't know how you did it, but we've done that with a Harvey Norman property down in Albury,
Yeah.
regional New South Wales.
Yeah.
Where we did a refit for them of a total bathroom. They've got a shopping centre down there called Homemaker Albury, the Albury Homemaker Centre. And they've got public bathrooms there that they provide, male, female, disabled, and a parent's room. And we did the whole gut them and start again. And we painted a mural down this, it's almost 80 metres. And
Wow.
it's beautiful. And we
Wow.
had a local artist there, and he's done beautiful work. He started out as a graffiti artist, of course.
Of course,
And
yeah.
now he works on, it's all spray can. And he invited his child to come in and do some artwork, but integrated into it. And it's fascinating. We've got platypuses and koalas and kangaroos and some native scenery, as well as the local environment, all painted down this full stretch of the corridor. And it's beautiful integration of local creativity and the job at hand, and that works really well. So I agree with that.
Yeah. So what
was a
you're
bit of a
describing
fluke,
there,
wasn't it?
what
Yeah.
you're describing there is a little bit of innovation.
Yeah.
To make it look a lot more premium, make the product look more premium,
And it does.
and it does.
It does, unless
Yeah.
it's
unless
substandard.
it's a horrible job.
yeah. And you've really got to do your homework there, because it could have been horrible, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we've been complimented on that work. So
Yeah.
I really like that. It doesn't take a lot to do to make things premium.
Yeah. And you just need to be able to think
Fittings,
outside the box.
fixtures, lighting is one of the easiest ways. Up lights, down lights, pendants. Instead of just the bay lights in the factory, do something more dramatic. Put them on the walls. Focus on some artwork.
Interesting.
Go out and get $50 prints. Go on a weekend and buy them from houses that are having their sales on the weekend, and buy some big artwork, large format artwork that you can stick on walls.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
just make it interesting,
Yeah.
because it takes it above the level above, and you'll be able to charge more rent.
Yeah, but you know what's really frustrating from my perspective is that I think you and I, we've been in this business for quite some time. We understand what works. We understand.
Yeah.
We can visualize certain things, but conveying that to a client to say, hey, look, if you spend an extra $5,000, get this painted, get this artwork, turn this into this, you're gonna make an extra 50 grand out of it. They just can't see it. they can't see it. They rather stick with what's safe, what's been proven, what works. But every time we
You're
ask
probably
them to
dealing with the wrong
innovate,
client in terms of level because they need approvals from their boss to proceed, and they're worried that are they stepping outside of their linear, you know, constraints, or are they making a judgment call that might get them sacked?
because it's hard to quantify some
Yeah.
of that stuff, which is what I struggle with. Because if I can tell a client, if you spend $1,000 on paintings, it's going to make you $10,000. That's a no-brainer decision, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's very difficult to quantify that outcome.
You know, another thing that I learned studying marketing was a technique called make them sick, make them well again. And it's a sales technique at the end of the day.
Okay.
And pharmaceutical companies thrive on it. You know, make people sick, and then for the rest of their lives, you've got to make them well. But it's a sales technique, and John Cleese did a wonderful sales video back in the days, in the 70s and 80s, on sales techniques. And he would use that strategy where he would say, "Oh, let's create an environment." I'll pitch it around that. Let's just say you've got a building, and let's use your environment. You've gone to a warehouse in Alexandria, and he would say, "Wow, look at all the mold. It's terrible. No one's going to want to, rent here because you've got mold. It's coming up from the ground. It's, it's rising damp. Can be fixed, but you've also got this." And you point out all the bad things initially because you're making them feel sick. And they're like, "Oh, I thought you weren't going to notice that, or I didn't want to bring that up, or it's distasteful, it's uncomfortable, it's rude, it's offensive, to be told all those things." But, and here comes the make them well again, you have the solution. I can take that away for you. And what you're doing is you're taking them on a journey that they can actually see the future where it's actually brighter and better, and you're improving their asset, you're adding value, and you're doing a transformational change. And that's the path you need to take them on. It's not just make them sick, make them well. It's you've got to take them on this journey where they go, "All right, so if we spend $80 on a 4-litre tin of, 20-litre tin of paint, and I have one of my juniors paint this wall, and we no longer have rising damp water, or we beautify it, or we invest on some pebbles and plants in the entrance, or we put up a facade for a reception," that's actually going to improve it. So it's improving the well-being because you're blocking out, the contact from the public, where the poor lady sits there and listens to the public every day coming in and complaining. You put a barrier between her that the receptionist sits in. You've actually made it better for the people that work there. You've made it better for the people that arrive. You've taken her on a journey and gone, "You've actually improved my asset. I'm now able to charge more for lease, for rental, and put in the lease." And all those little improvements go on to bigger improvements. But it's that transformational journey of making them sick, pointing out all the wrongs. But you don't do that to be rude. You do that only if you've got a solution. If you don't have a solution, don't say anything. But it is about making them sick, but make them well again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a difficult concept to understand. But
No.
But that's one of the things
also
I
got
try
to-
to do is transformational value adds,
Yeah.
or it's that journey. And unless you can offer something transformational, you're just doing what everyone else is doing.
And I think that's what we're experiencing right now with a lot of the builders, a lot of investors in Australia. They don't want to innovate. They're not incentivized to
We're actually
innovate.
dumbing down. Builders are doing a worse job.
Yeah.
You look at the building standards of today, we're not talking high-end premium. We're talking just even residential houses where, our regulator has to get in there and do more inspections. There are some few great inspectors out there, and I get these on my Instagram, and they're picking builders to pieces, but good on them.
Yeah.
Because where's the site engineer? Where's the foreman? Where's the quantity surveyor? Where's the supervision? Where's the everyone that's going, "You can't do this"? There's a standard. There's a standard to building in Australia. It needs to be done in certain manners with certain materials, with certain assurances. Built plumb online, and so many shortcuts are done.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing it for profit because they're so bad at their job.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we
Or
talk-
they've learnt overseas and we have a different standard and they're just not up to the level yet. But they shouldn't have a license.
Yeah, I think Australia does have a strong standard, but there's also a double-edged sword. There's also a lot of red tape you know, around it.
Yeah,
And
it does.
and you know, look, I think a lot of people want to kind of cut through those red tape and, you know, do what they think is the way to do it. But I want to talk about construction costs. I mean, I think that's a very sticky topic for a lot of people, particularly in the property game, because
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's related. You obviously got your finger on the pulse, you know, on construction because of what you do. We've had massive rises in construction costs over the last few years.
Yeah, they have been massive.
Massive rises. Are you seeing that stabilizing, or do you see that continuing to grow over the
Both.
next?
But it has stabilized. And where we were seeing 18, 30% increases on materials,
Yeah.
that's come down to 4 and 5%. So that's
Okay.
now at a very manageable kind of pain.
Okay.
But they've come off such a low base. What I'm finding is, and labour's the same.
Well,
Tradies,
wanna
oh my
talk about
God,
that.
what they're costing projects, they're quite arrogant about what they can charge, and they don't get out of bed for, you know, whatever amount. I find people that want to partner with me, and I add value to their trade license. I go out and do the selling for them. I present new clients they've never had before. I do the work health and safety stuff for them, assist them with their safe work method statements and JSAs, and do all the finance and share the profit. So I professionalize them. I give them extra clients and they go, great, we'll stick to what we do well and we'll do the building job and certify it. So collaboratively, we've got a nice partnership. But the cost of those things are going up every day. And the toughest part of my job is actually convincing the client it's a real and genuine cost. Because they go, oh, we've had someone cost it this, someone cost it that. Actually, I'm in an environment at the moment where we seem to be almost the cheapest on many, many levels.
Right.
I've just won a client in the educational sector, a private school in the North Shore, and we've been asked to do 10 quotes. And with luck, we're going to win every one of these 10 jobs.
Wow.
They've had their traditional builders,
Yeah.
and I think we're going to be under with all the pipeline.
How are you able to deliver that? Is it because you're small and nimble and you outsource everything, or something else? Because some of these bigger
Both, because I was talking to the builder last night. We're small and nimble. Thank you. I didn't mean to jump in on you like that, but we're small and nimble. I've got the right partners who are willing to trade. I profit share with them. So we make margin decisions. And literally at 10 p.m. last night, I was doing costings for them. I did 8 other quotes last night, full on building quotes, full on everything from demolition through to completion, final reports, every possible trade you can imagine. So they're really in depth and they're really detailed. And we were having margin discussions at every level. And how do we price it as much as we can to a threshold and yet still remain competitive? Because at the end of the day, all we're doing is we're devaluing what we offer.
So how do you
As
place your,
project managers and certifiers and administrators and financiers of the whole thing.
so how do you place your margins then? So do you place your margin on every single component,
No.
or do you place your margins at the end?
Yeah.
When you've compressed
Group set.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I wait the whole, I group set it. I get all my costs in. And if I'm not happy with it, I'll go and get 3 costs on 3 separate suppliers on that just to pitch it to a market.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, I'll ask some friends who are in the industry and I'll say, does this sound realistic? And they'll go, actually, you've got a really good price there. I go, thank you.
Okay.
And so I do a lot of bouncing back and forth, lots of communicating. But I think if you were to look at my phone, you'd see I probably make 20 to 80 phone calls a day.
Wow.
So it's busy.
Yeah.
And in a quiet day, like yesterday, I would have had 20 phone calls.
Okay.
But in a busy day where I'm biz dev and pipeline, 80 phone calls is not uncommon. And that's intense.
Yeah.
It's really intense.
Is that what it takes to get to your level?
No, it's persistence, it's grit, it's consistency. Just keep on doing it because others don't have the stamina that you do and they will fall away. And so all of a sudden you're the last one standing, which is really interesting. Others fall over. But I've, invested the cash in the business back into the business. And I keep on reinvesting. And if you keep on stripping it out, you're not planning for the future, are you? You're just pulling a wage. But if you would reinvest for the future, win new jobs, they're bigger jobs. So every job I win is bigger than the last one.
Yeah.
And every contract I'm winning at the moment, instead of winning one job, I'm winning 5 from the same client. So I'm actually, I don't know, I'm on a good run at the moment. Let's touch wood. Let's keep that one coming.
You're on an excellent run at the moment.
Yeah, you know it's a good run.
Yeah,
'cause
excellent
You sit there
run.
and listen.
Okay.
We sit on a board together for a disclaimer, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you invest everything back into the business.
At the moment, I'm
Yes.
investing everything back.
When does it make sense to take some off the table?
Oh, I'll be taking some off this Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Because I've literally put, even though it's small, I put hundreds of thousands of dollars back into the business. And a lot of it is pre-work. It's paying builders up front
yeah,
for the work I've won.
yeah,
And it's having the balls to do that. Because a lot of people won't do that. Because they go, no, we'll just do 3 jobs a year. Builders are classic for that. They just want to do their 3 jobs and they'll win a $2 million job and a $2 million job and a $2 million job, and they'll forecast them through the year, and they'll manage their funds and they'll draw their wage. But all they've done is bought a
job.
And it's actually decreasing with inflation or
Yeah.
against inflation.
Yeah,
But if they did a $2 million job, then a $4 million job, then an $8 million job, they're growing. And
Yeah.
that will have demands for materials up front, for skill sets that you didn't know you required. You might need a quantity surveyor or an architect or a designer or something else that you need to invest in up front.
yeah,
And just like the property owners invest in things, we do too. And the sad thing is, with trading terms, so many clients pay you poorly. So
Yeah.
many clients. That's been
Yeah.
dragged out.
yeah,
The worst client I have is, I'm not going to mention them, is I had them at my last job as well, and I brought them with me. And they were 180-day payers. That's 6 months
That's
before they pay you.
ridiculous.
Well, it's
That's
not ridiculous. It's
ridiculous.
unfair.
It's unfair.
There are now laws against that for a small business. You can't do that when it's a big business, multi-billion-dollar business versus small. And there are court cases on at right now at present that are winning in the small businesses' favour, saying you've marginalised them, you've disadvantaged them. This is against the law. You can't do that because they had trading terms of 30 days, and you've stretched them for a year. You know.
Yeah,
That's like never being paid. A
Yeah.
year is never being
yeah,
paid.
yeah.
And I've certainly lived through that pain, and that's not fun.
Mm.
Because you end up borrowing, and any profit that you borrow to continue, right?
Yes,
And
yeah.
any profit that you thought you were going to get, you paid an interest for the borrowing. So all you've done is funded the client in doing their project.
Well, that's right. You've just become the bank.
You've become the bank.
Yeah,
And you can't do that. And I've done that before, and I've done it in my business before. I don't do that anymore.
yeah,
So I've
Yeah.
got 7 days terms.
yeah. That's
And at the moment, I think we're probably at about 9 or 10 days
okay.
for all our debtors.
Okay.
Our client paid me 2 days the other day. I love that.
Breeze, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what you love.
So I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything seems to be falling in line, you know,
yeah,
and that allows you to literally buy all the materials up front and do the best job for the client.
Yeah.
So you're not worried about the money, because at the end of the day, the client is committed to improve their asset. We're just
Yeah.
improving it. We're the people doing it for them. So why would you hold off paying them? Why would you hold off paying us? You know, we're trying to do your job for you, and
Yeah.
we're licensed and insured to do it.
and you're trying to do it, and if shit hits the fan, they'll come.
Yeah.
You're the one who's liable.
That's right. We
Yeah.
hold the risk, and for another 12 months, and then, yeah.
Yeah. So where to from here for your business?
I think I will be put into a situation that I'll be going into the new year with some extra project managers.
Uh-huh.
And I think the project managers will be incentivized to eventually take some either equity or commission structures that give them a percentage of the business on a sliding scale.
Okay.
So over time,
How does that work?
over time, they will increase their equity share in the business,
Okay.
and I will decrease it. So as I fade out into
Retirement.
they will take over the ownership of the company.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just protracted on however many years I want to stay in the business. Or I stop at a certain age and become chairman, and then they all run it, and but my goal is really to hold on to the equity as long as I can. There are mechanisms you can instill that don't require equity transfer, because if I was to offer you 10% of the company, of my company, to you, that sounds attractive. But with that comes inherent risk. You've now become a shareholder, probably a director, because you'll want a title with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And with the director comes responsibility. So you're now liable for the work that you do or we do as a business. And if something goes wrong, if someone gets injured or, God help me, dies on site, you're personally responsible as the managing director. And this is why owning a business is not for everyone.
No, no.
I was once a managing director of a Macquarie Bank owned company for 5 years, and they taught me owning a little bit of a big thing is a good thing. But then they also taught me being rewarded as you go is better than being an owner. I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, if we can pay you a sales commission based on a profit share that you would have got anyway as a dividend through owning the company, wouldn't you prefer that to take that now as a salary, like a bonus? And it's a sales commission effectively, or a bonus for the work you've brought in or the work you're on, in control of or managing. But you're getting it today at today's value as a direct representation of what you've put into the business versus a dividend based on your equity share that's going to be reduced by taxation, depreciation, amortization, and everything else. It is actually smarter to take the cash now and run without any responsibility. So if I engage you as a sales guy
Yeah.
or a project manager
Yeah.
and said, well, there are two options. You can either be a director of my business and have a 10% share now, and you
Yeah.
share 10% of all profits. Well, let's be realistic. 10% of all profits that you bring in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And you go, okay, as a sales guy, that's pretty good. I'll get a wage, so I'll pay you a wage, plus I'll pay you super and pay all your benefits, entitlements, and you get 10% of the profit of everything we bring in. You
Yeah.
go, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Or do I pay you that same wage and the entitlements, and instead of you becoming a director of the company, you're no longer responsible. You're just an employee, and I'll give you 10% of the commission right now, payable in the next 3 months, rather than waiting till the end of the year and the financials being done and depreciation, amortization, and everything else coming out of it, and tax, and you're getting a lesser share potentially. Why wouldn't you take that? You're taking it right now, so it's a sales commission.
Yeah. I mean,
Because you, at the end of the day, are still getting the same money. Actually, you're probably getting a higher benefit in taking it as a sales comm right now.
I think sales comp is certainty. Profit share is uncertainty.
Yeah.
You would only take a profit share if you believe the profit's higher than the commission you're going to take.
Right. So what you're actually saying is it's probably not the profit of your business, it's the profit of the entire business, a share of the profit of the entire business that you want.
I mean, that would be only that makes sense. Yeah, because otherwise it'd be the same. I'll just take the certainty. I'll take the sales commission.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I structured a deal that did that very thing. Instead of waiting for the end, I did a deal to take the sales commission immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So going forward, you're gonna pull on a few more employees for your company.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be forced to put on people because not only do I need to hold the intelligence and the IP within the business, I need to have people I can trust. I also will eventually need a break. I'll need a holiday, and I need to be able to rely on people.
Yeah.
I've got some people in mind. I've already interviewed them. I've already had discussions. I've already done my business presentation to them, not just a job description and role appreciation. I've actually presented my business to them.
Okay.
And I've shown them my pipeline, and I've shown them how they fit in. And they're both at this stage saying they'd love to join. So I've got people sitting in the wings. I'm just waiting for contracts through contract negotiation, and we'll see where that takes us.
Yeah, great. And these are PM roles.
Yeah, but they're senior PMs, and they'll be, one will be a 2IC, and the other will be a head of department. And we will eventually create a project management office, a PMO, and we'll have a team of project managers out there. So if I'm making the step into employees, I may as well go whole hog because I've already exposed myself to that risk. I've already divested some equity. So I've now made that critical decision. I may as well do it well. Rather than don't dip your toe in, do it well. Go all in. So we'll create a PMO and I'll have the business to do that. Meaning that the clients with budget to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's
Well,
amazing. Yeah, that's something to look
it's
forward
fun.
to.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It keeps me up at night.
Oh, cool. Well, John, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome, Will. It's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's been
Thank
great.
you for the conversation. It's been a really relaxed conversation. I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Yeah, that has been. And thank you for your hospitality and
Always
for
welcome.
drinking all your beer and eating all your food. But I think most importantly is it's been very insightful. It's very
Thank you.
insightful just sharing your experience, your insights and your philosophies behind
you, Will.
your business. And I'm really happy to see your business doing so well and your pipeline just, I don't know, like 100x in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's really,
It's
really
about
exciting.
conversion now. So it's not. It's funny you listen to me talk about pipeline because I've had a few opportunities to talk pipeline, but I don't really like to talk about pipeline unless I can convert. So I've got a whole bunch of Excel pages that break it down as to probability. And I only tell you the top ones. I don't tell you the others. And they're migrating up because the ones I talk about are all in contract negotiation now.
Yeah.
So the chance of them coming off is incredibly high.
Yeah.
It's really high. So, especially when the people that have told me they're appointing me, and I've gone through the process of winning the tender and we're doing the documentation, is they've already communicated to their staff that I'm on board, and
Oh,
I've already
nice.
got that.
Oh, nice. So that's good. That's a good
yeah,
sign.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a really good sign.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
business is good,
Yeah.
as is with yours.
Yeah, thank you.
So-
Thank you. I'm flying through a little bit of turbulence, but getting out at the end.
You have such a public face; it's extraordinary. Yeah. What a profile.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Well, we're told it's the way to go, aren't we? We've got to humanize our brand,
Yes.
and let's hope we do that.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
those property lines.
This podcast is going to help you humanize your brand.
Well, I hope so. With
Yeah.
my 11,500 connections on LinkedIn, and they're just friends. Imagine if I extended it to the people I know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Far out.
All right, mate. Thank you
That's
very much.
so good.
Good luck for Property Line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oran.